We talked about how psychedelics, when used in an intentional way, bring you to a face-to-face with a mirror that says, here are your feelings, feel them. Here is your environment, see it. If we do that as a group, consciously, that has a huge power to educate and inspire positive change.
Mm-hmm. It could. We'll see. I mean, possibly I'm thinking about it, a question that I asked Chiara Baldini from Boom Festival, when I was asking her about whether or not psychedelics could help us figure out how to face the environmental crisis, which is very much like a planetary extinction crisis. And one of her comments was everybody seems to be reaching towards how do we fix this? How do we stop this? And she said, I don't know. What if what we're here to do is actually to be in service of death? So it's I think there's also a bigger question there, as to what that actually looks like, and whether or not we are supposed to survive the process. Although I would like it if we do. I think humanity has great, beautiful things to offer the future relationship with the planet and with the cosmos, if we could just figure our amateur shit out before then.
I would very much like that we do, sorry, I like gesticulating. Yeah. I would very much like that we do that too, very much so. But I have asked myself the question sometimes, is if humanity was a stepping stone to something else, would that be okay?
It depends on whether or not you identify with being more than a singular person, or if you identify as being a part of a process that's bigger than your individual life or even the collective life of your species, which I imagine that modern psychedelic users are more likely to have a tendency towards because of the ego dissolution experiences that they've had. So possibly there's something there too. But I'm not entirely set on what is the best use, right? I'm certainly not set on the fact that psychedelics are going to save this thing. They're not going to turn the car around, I mean, if
it may alert us to the conditions of the road.
The planet is definitely screaming at us, and some of us are listening, and some of us are screaming back, but a lot of us are not listening. And if those people don't start listening, no amount of psychedelics is going to stop us from driving ourselves into, extinction is whoa, that's so intense, but it's I
think people turn off when they hear that as well. Some people are oh, extinction, that's overblown, that's ridiculous, let's turn off. No.
No, but they still tune in and watch, they'll watch the news clippings of war and famine and environmental disaster, and they'll go, oh, it sucks that's so heartbreaking that that's happening somewhere else. And what they fail to recognize is the extinction we're talking about is not well, we're all gone, it's all just crazy. We're talking about the ongoing progressive cataclysmic impact of changing weather patterns that's going to mean that we don't have food, we don't have internet, we don't have communication technology, we don't have electricity, we don't have at some point we don't have water, we don't have the ability to go outside safe, we don't have the ability to trust that our neighbors are going to try to break into our houses and steal the water. It's how friendly are your neighbors? How well do you know them? How good are they going to treat you on day 5 without food? The thing is that's not unreasonable to think about at this point. And the media and even the science is really keeping hush-hush about how dire the situation we are. We're really in seriously dire situation. If you read, I think it's Jim Bendel's Deep Adaptation, where he basically categorizes the climate science and then talks about the deep psychological mechanisms that's making it so people are hiding that from themselves and not reporting it out against the world, because it invites us into such profound existential calamity at ourselves.
And uncertainty.
Many of us can't handle that. And
uncertainty is hard.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, I have some ideas of how psychedelics might help that, even from a neurological perspective. There is this idea that uncertainty is really energetically expensive for our brains. It actually costs us more energy to hold ideas in uncertainty. It's much easier to go black and white, say yes or no, versus grappling actively with a conundrum that has so many different influences on it. And we do see, and one of the theories around psychedelics and how they work in the brain is that they do increase our ability to tolerate uncertainty.
Yeah, so then it would be